But don't let me give you the impression that you've got to automate everything in your business from the start, because that is not a way to create a business. That's not how you create a chilled life. All of this can be done bit by bit over time. Like, just start by making money.
Hi, I'm Becky Elkins, business mindset and lifestyle coach for occupational therapists. I focus on creating a freedom-based online business, helping OTs to package up their skills in unique and exciting offers that feel so good that they sell with ease in the online space. Since leaving the profession of OT, I have now worked with hundreds of clients online, helping them to create a life they feel inspired by. In this podcast, I will talk about the lifestyle goals, mindset, and strategy you need to create your own life of freedom.
Today, we're going to talk about reducing work hours. And it all started for me years and years ago when I actually begged my husband to swap work and become the full-time worker. Oh my goodness. I loved being an OT on the ambulance. Full-time work in the UK was 37.5 hours, and I was working on an ambulance on a falls team. It was the best OT job I ever had. I loved every second of it. The whole team did. Like, we were just having a great time. I buzzed off it, and everything about it was so perfect. So it was a bike ride away from my home. I think, as I remember, it was like a 10-minute bike ride, but I used to go the long way around the house, round the country lanes, just because I wanted, obviously, a bit more exercise in the morning before work. And it was beautiful. I can remember seeing deer. It was just so lovely and calming. And because we worked on an ambulance, I didn't need a car for work. So that's an amazing expense that you don't need. So it helped me stay fit, and it also helped like the family because we didn't need this extra vehicle. So that was brilliant. And the shifts were 12 hours long. This really suits me. And very often we'd do overtime, because if you work on an ambulance, you can get a job at like 1 minute or even 30 seconds before you clock off that shift. If there's a cardiac arrest, for example, round the corner, you would be sent to it even if you're 30 seconds off finishing your shift and you have to finish it. So it could mean some very long days. So 14-hour days were very, very common. And again, that suited me. I've always been a fan of working long days, but having plenty of days off. So most weeks I only had to work 3 shifts, and then we did an occasional 4th shift to complete the hours. And on top of that, the job was physically demanding. So this really suited me. We were squatting and bending over bodies. Very often we'd have to climb in a window or find somebody in a very unusual position. We often had bariatric patients that might be trapped in a really small space. So it was just very active, also exciting, because we didn't know from 1 second to the next what we would see as we sped around on blue lights to emergencies. I just loved this, the problem solving. Oh, it was like so the perfect job for me. And it was the first time in my life where I felt so fully fulfilled. The camaraderie with the ambulance, because we'd meet all the other people on the big ambulances, as we called it. If our client was medically unwell, we'd have to convey them to hospital. We'd need perhaps more staff. If we happened to be at a cardiac arrest, there would be multiple vehicles sent. So there was always these occasions when we were meeting with lots of ambulance staff, and the team atmosphere was just brilliant. And we just laughed and laughed and laughed. And even though we were dealing with some very emotional, deeply upsetting things during our shift, our relationships were so good that we supported each other through that. And it just felt great. So I can remember begging to go from part-time to full-time, even though I'd got children at home, because it was just such the perfect opportunity. But then, as things happen, the opportunity was pulled. The ambulance service pulled out, and so all of a sudden, very quickly, there was no job for me. Now, luckily, in the NHS, you're very often just redeployed. So that's what happened to me. So I am thankful that that happened, that I was placed in another position as an occupational therapist. But to be honest, there was just no chance that any OT job in the world could follow this job. I had just become so accustomed to such an exciting and deeply fulfilling employment. Like, we would just walk into the room and we always walked into a crisis. The patient was always on the floor, trapped, and then we would always leave, or not always, but the situation was so much better because we would, first of all, get them off the floor, and then we would solve all their problems. Like, oh, you need a Zimmer frame, or you need some rehab, or, maybe we'll put a toilet seat on. And we were just problem solving. So that's the bit that was so deeply fulfilling and rewarding, because every time it felt like we were doing something that was great. When people have been on the floor, especially for a long time, and you arrive and you get them up off the floor, I mean, that feeling is amazing anyway. So unfortunately, for occupational therapy, there was no way that I could just become a normal occupational therapist after that. Everything just bored me or stressed me out. I think I'd also found that I need a high level of excitement in my life, just for the personality that I am. And then things just with personal life were just kicking off. That was also when my ex-husband had his heart attack. It was a very similar time frame, and I just couldn't cope. So I suddenly went from begging to work long hours to craving, needing, and being desperate for shorter working hours. In fact, I just wanted to pack up work, truth be known. But I wasn't allowed to for financial reasons. So this desperation was great for me to cut down hours. Over time, I created various businesses that allowed me to drop working right down to 15 hours per week. So that I did well with the different businesses, Airbnb, eBay, etc. And by the end, when I was last an occupational therapist, I was just working 15 hours per week, but that annoyed me. It just like tied me down to one location, like I was free, but not free by that stage. And I felt very controlled by this need to be showing up for work, even though it was just 15 hours a week. So at that stage, I started researching like crazy how I could create higher income with the least amount of work. And this really has been a massive obsession for me. How can I create less hours, more money, so I can be free? And I studied and studied and studied, and this is what I've been doing for years, looking at passive income streams, various business models, until I'd cracked it, basically. And the answer lies in creating much bigger income. And passive income, that's helpful, but actually focusing on the much bigger income to start with. So how do you do that? Well, as you probably already know, if you've listened to the other podcasts that I've done, it's about selling high ticket offers so that we don't need multiple sales, creating something super special that can be sold for over 1,000 and hopefully multiple thousands per sale. And then the second thing to consider here with reducing your working hours is actually creating digital products. So things that sell online. Digital products means you are not tied to space or time or location. There's so much freedom within that. It also means that you can create something once and use it many times over. It's super smart to be using the best things about technology, because there's literally never been a time like this in history when we don't have to trade time for money. It's so easy and possible to create something that you keep producing income for you years later. So you create it once and it still works for you. But the problem with this is digital products can be boring. My experience with network marketing, MLM, showed me that when you sell for other people, it has a limit on your fulfillment, as you've no control over the quality or function of what you're selling. So what starts off as being very exciting can actually quickly start to annoy you. And there's no way of making changes because you're selling on behalf of someone else. So they're always running the business for you. There's lots of advantages to that, but also you're not even getting the full income from it as well. So my experience on the ambulance also taught me that fulfillment is so important. When we are feeling fulfilled, when we're fulfilling that purpose that we've got, we have boundless energy, and tasks do not feel like work when we've got this deep love for them. So there's still a limit with this. Like, we can't expect to repeat the thing we love for 40 hours a week and still feel amazing. But we can enjoy that feeling of being energized when we get the right balance with it. And I think as occupational therapists, what we've got to consider is we were drawn to the career because of our desire to help people, to create deep and meaningful change. And just creating a business to sell digital products that you're not aligned to, affiliate marketing, these kind of things, in my personal opinion, they're great. But I just think we were made for a bit more than that. Like, we've got so much within us. There's so much passion. There's so much in us, the skills that we've developed. Like, we've got a unique mindset and we can help people at a much deeper level. So my opinion, if you want to reduce hours, is yes, digital products are the way to go, absolutely, but don't forget the fulfillment factor. So if you want to reduce working hours, creating something where we've got the best energy and we are able to produce things in magical timeframes, that's helpful. And that will happen if you are super aligned to what you are selling. I recorded a mindset meditation, one that you can do overnight. Very powerful in terms of helping you create the confidence, the self-belief, and deal with any money mindset issues. I use these kind of overnight meditations all the time. I found them incredibly powerful. So I've created a very special one and I'm giving it for free to all of my podcast listeners. You can download it on the show notes. So selling digital products is like a smooth and lean, and business can be designed with minimal friction. So friction is always the bumps in the road, the things that slow you down. And so it can mean higher income, but working shorter hours. So the question is, how do you create something that's both deeply fulfilling but also frees your time up? That's the big question. And this is where the Understanding You section, which is on my program, comes in, because it's my belief that when we tap into our zones of genius, into understanding our purpose, our human design, our legacy to the world, when we start to piece together all of these things with our unique life story, that is where the magic begins. And when we uncover our true mission, the thing that ties together all your life experiences, that's when we can create a high ticket offer that really supports people in this one area that you are so naturally talented in. And this is where, with smart business design, you can sell for a higher rate, but not have to spend a long time on the delivery. with digital products, there are so many ways that we can provide a great service, but with aspects of it automated or delegated so that you do not have to always be delivering things live. So there's always this fine balance between earning more and working more by doing things yourself, or by growing and expanding and having the ability to work less by paying other people. So if you get the balance wrong, you can end up working to pay the wages of other people. So that's no good. If you hire too many people, your profit margins will be squeezed and you'll be earning a lower wage. And certainly I fell for that one at one stage. But if you run ragged and trapped by a business that you cannot escape from, and you're the only one able to do all the tasks within the business, that's not freedom. That is keeping you trapped within the business, and you'll end up becoming a victim of your own success. So there's balance in how you delegate tasks. And that's why a lot of the smart moves in terms of you reducing hours within your business actually fall within the automations, rather than just hiring more and more staff, which come at a higher cost. If you can create something that's got the least friction for you as the entrepreneur, so creating simple systems that can be repeated hundreds or thousands of times with automations, using computers to actually do these things for us. An example of automating something can be as simple as using a Stripe checkout. So monthly payers only have access to your program when they've paid, or automated email campaigns. And when I talk about removing friction from your business, I'm talking about all the areas that take time or energy or focus. Bit by bit, you can identify where the friction is. Is it in sales? Is it the onboarding process? Is it on client fulfillment or client retention? So it's just good to keep checking where you're at with it and keep an open mind to there being a better way of leveraging your time. At one stage, I mentioned to my tech lady, Helen, that I was holding on to a lot of stress when I onboarded new clients. It's just energetically holding on to them. Every time I saw a sale come in, even if it was in the middle of the night, I would feel that I'd need to connect with that client and I need to ask them a series of questions and check they've got this and check they've got that. And I realized that this was stopping me from making more sales because this energetic holding of them was taking too much time and too much commitment. And so we designed ways of this being automated. So yes, I did pay Helen to do this, but she's done it once. And once it's perfected, it won't have to be repeated again. And so she's created email systems. So we've got an integrated system on Kajabi where all that I have to do is send a link to a potential sale, and then they make the payment, review the contract, and have immediate access to the course and email campaign, which contains all of the instructions and motivation that they need to take part. And that will end at 6 months when the program ends, and it will automatically suggest an upsell. So that has taken a massive weight off my mind. It's reduced the amount of work that I need to do, which means ultimately, whenever we do this, I can earn more and work less. And I literally, to do this, listed all of the things that were taking my time up, and we just planned automations around it. One of the things I say to my team and my family, to be honest, or anybody who knows me, is I'll be like, I've got a dream, I've got an idea, I want this to happen, and I want it to look like that. And nearly always somebody will say to me, oh, Beck, that's just not possible. And I'll just reply with, it's not my job to worry about the how. This is just what I want. And I'm fairly sure that you can make this happen. And weirdly, these things do just happen. So Helen's just been fantastic with all my requests. I'll often say to her, Helen, I just want this specific, like my latest one is, I just want a calendar. to be integrated with Kajabi and do this and do that. And she's saying no to me. It's not created, it's not invented, but I'll just keep working on it because I know at some point she'll figure it out, and I will get an automation for what I want. So some of them aren't easy to find, quite honestly. All of the automations have ultimately made business easier, but sometimes they take a bit of figuring out to start with because tech's moving and changing all the time. And so if you've got a dream of something working smoothly, it's probably been done before, but not always. And each time we do this, as I said, we can keep onboarding more clients with least work. But also it's better for the clients because they're getting a stronger service as well. So this means that when I sell to the US, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, for example, that money arrives in my bank and the client, very often I'm sleeping. So the client has taken some of the first steps before I've even opened my eyes in the morning, which is perfect. But don't let me give you the impression that you've got to automate everything in your business from the start, because that is not a way to create a business. That's not how you create a chilled life. All of this can be done bit by bit over time. Like, just start by making money. Actually decide what works. Like, I'd never create an automation around something new until I know it's going to be a big seller. What's the point? So always create these things after you've sold them. And once we had this automation, the one with the email campaign and the onboarding clients, a big part of my brain just melted, knowing that so many tasks that took this part of my brain could be just completely let go of. And that's a lovely idea because we hold on to so many concerns as a business owner. So sometimes it's just about having the idea of how to save time, how to reduce your hours. As a business owner, you do not need to be tied to the business. So starting to journal or think about what can you let go of? What would be best to let go of? What can you leverage? What can you automate or delegate or systemize? And then just figuring out the time scale, because if you do it too soon, it's just going to keep you super busy and it's going to slow your growth, but waiting too long will really halter your growth as well. So it's just getting that balance. And it took a few months for Helen to do these automations, but it was so worth it because I know in January when I got 14 new starters in 1 month, it had just come in time for that. And it meant that the experience was smoother. It wasn't perfect. It definitely wasn't perfect. But that's how things are. It will need some improvements, but it did help massively. So the cost of staff is always higher than the cost of digitally automating something. And that's why we keep using technology as much as possible, because why pay someone to do something if it can be automated digitally? So if you want to work less hours, plan for it, have a vision for how that might look, and quite simply map it out. Go out, create big income, selling something online that bit by bit can be automated and delegated, slowly allowing you to back off over time and allowing you to bring in more sales for less effort over and over again. And that is how you will reduce hours. If you are an OT with 3 to 10 hours per week spare, then the OT Yourself to Freedom membership is best for you. It will teach you how to create a business, an online freedom style business, but in an affordable way. And this is best for those of you who haven't got the time to really go for it. If you have the time to go for it and you want to achieve bigger results in a short space of time, what you're looking for is the OT Freedom Collective. This is for OTs who've got 10 hours a week or more and you're just really keen to get big results. That's where you're going to be closely supported by our team for a 6-month period.
It will be intensive. You'll learn everything you need to create this freedom style business. And the biggest word that people say about it is that it's life-changing.